Okay, and today I would like to tell you a little bit more about the business analysis. But before I know that, I would like to tell a little bit more about me. I wasn't sure if I should put those informations here because, as you see, I'm not directly from IT. But I believe it's crucial for you to know why I have feelings about the business analysis that are very strict. Okay, so I am a social scientist, business analyst, anxiety recruiter, and I'm deeply in love with IT. Maybe I will start with from the bottom. So when it comes to my love to IT, for me at the beginning, 10 years ago, programming was a magic. Still it is, but I know that it's a code, but still it's a magic that happens inside the computers, and people create this magic. When it comes to being anxiety recruiter, I was recruiting IT people for 6.5 years, and it was very crucial for me because I could cooperate with various people from various businesses. I tried to compare the expectations from the business stakeholders, from the candidates, and you know that IT world is very special. So the expectations were also very special, and I believe that if you survive in IT recruitment, you survive everywhere. And when it comes to social scientists, I'm graduated with business, how to call it even. I was studying sociology, and you can smile a bit because all you know how it looks like. But I had a really great opportunity to take a part in classes from business analysis, data mining, and all the things connected with the statistics, machine learning, and so on. It was the trigger during my studies to try to move into IT. It took me a few years, but I'm here, and it's mix of all those things is the reason why I'm here today, and I wanted to share with you my stories and my feelings about the business analysis. And when it comes to agenda for today, is so the first thing is that I would like to tell you how to put VA in a Scrum team. The second thing is what theory and practice says about the VA's location within the teams. The third thing is talking about the challenges within communication with very business and very technical people. Fourth thing is the business analyst is only unnecessary friction between business and IT. What the good business analyst should do, and of course, do we really need them? And let's start. Could you please tell me how many of you work in a pure Scrum? Okay.
But it's the same team.
Okay, so the kind of Scrum?
Yeah.
Okay. What about implementing Kanban or a very general Kanban approach? Okay. And how many of you cooperate with good business analysts?
Scrum Master is the same as business analyst.
It's a bit challenging. Okay, so the essence of the Scrum is the small team of specialists that have ability to perform various tasks within the team. And the strength of the team comes from inside the team. Scrum teams doesn't cooperate so openly with the other people. They're supposed to implement the solution by their own, and they need to collaborate through different, maybe not the different technologies, but the different approaches to doing things directly. They need to concentrate about the architecture and about the targeted solution that needed to provide. And when it comes to Scrum team, from the Scrum Bible, I mean the Scrum Guide, it's a 17-page Scrum Bible that where you don't find any single word about the business analyst. And because of that, there was many doubts and questions how to put a VA in the Scrum team. Because I was working in the several projects and I was recruiting for the several projects where projects were saying that, yay, we are working in a Scrum, we are introducing Scrum approach. But hey, they had a VA, they had a tester, they cooperate with the project managers, they have some delivery leaders, and so on. So how to combine all the approaches with the work of the that need to be done by VAs and by the team. And some will say that VA is only unnecessary friction between business and developers, an additional layer that negatively affects the communication and creates the Chinese whisper effect. When it comes to Chinese whisper effect, I will tell you more about this later. But I believe that many of you, if not all of you, know this kind of game. And when it comes to IT has really different communication requirements than a business. Business people are not willingness to know some technical jargon and so on. And the message that is sufficient for the business maybe not be sufficient for the IT guys. And it can work in both directions. So when it comes to my talk, I would like to tell you where and how to find and put BA into Scrum team. I believe all that will work. So in theory, Scrum team consists of product owner, development team, and the Scrum master. And product owner is responsible for the value of the solution that a recipient need to receive. Scrum master, it's only observing and giving advice how to work. And the most important part of the Scrum team is, of course, a development team that produce some features, some programs, whatever they need to provide to the business. And when it comes to theory about the business analysis, business analysis is the practice of enabling change in the enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions to deliver value to the stakeholders. Business analysis enable an enterprise to articulate needs and rationale for change and to design and describe solutions that can deliver the value. It's citation from the Babok Guide because also BAs have their books that providing information how to perform some kind of the task. But I strongly believe that it should be only a guide because the BA should be like a water. BA should have this willingness and this power to talk, to convince people to different ideas. BA should go deeply into desire of the stakeholders. BA should be also able to to communicate well with the developers. It means that he or she needs to know the terminology, need to be flexible when it comes to technology also. And when it comes to BA need to understand the current state of knowledge, the current state of the technology, need to provide a solution that is really useful for the business, that business will use for few months, few years. It really depends on the business context. And BA should know the bigger picture. And something went wrong. Okay, I put the wrong button. But when it comes to real life, who is a business analyst there? It's a person who performs a business analysis task. It doesn't mean it's a person that has on the contract that is an analyst. It can be every single person from the project team. It can be a developer that have some soft skills that allows him to talk with people to get into their minds. It can be a tester that is really, or QA specialist, whatever call it, who is able to create very good user stories, for example. And business analyst is a person that needs to discover, synthesize, and analyze information from various sources. And those sources can be other team members, it can be some documentation. And when it comes to documentation, did you ever been in a situation where documentation somehow disappeared from the project? Okay, or did you ever be pushed to create documentation? Because I'm sure that not all the people wants to create a very detailed documentation, data flows, and describing all the connection within a system. Okay, I see rising hands. That's perfect. And when it comes to business stakeholders, like I said, there is a lot of people. Some of them can be really open-minded and open, can talk with you like with a friend, and some of them are really strict. They have their own needs that need to be solved, need to be implemented, and they doesn't care how to do that. You have to do that no matter how. And I know that. So the business analyst is in current and frequent contact with the various people from the project. It sometimes happens that at the beginning of the project, you know that you need to implement A, B, C, or D features to make things done. But during the sprints, for example, during the time, it appears that there is a situation that there is a lot more things to implement. For example, I took a part in a project where at the beginning it was said by the business who is using the tool that they have system and they need to integrate this system with another tool. But during the analysis, it appears that it's not a three systems that need to be integrated. It's 14 systems that need to be integrated, and most of them were registered. There were official applications, but some of them, it appears that not. So there was no documentation. It appears that it was a situation that somebody who knows some good developer told him, I have a problem, I cannot, for example, produce the report from the data, and I put a change request for the owner of the application, but it takes time. They told me that it will take 3 months to implement it, but I need to do it now. So there was a lot of that kind of situation where something was created underneath, under the table. There was no documentation, and I needed to tackle the challenge to investigate where to find information, who to ask, who can give me some additional information. So it's always depends on the project. So the analyst should use some elicitation techniques to get into the real desires and real information, because someone can tell you, I need this, 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 and that because I want it. There is no business case behind. There, you need to investigate where to find the real need of some solution. And the activities that business analyst performs include understanding enterprise problems and goals, analyze the needs and the solution that I mentioned, devising and aligning the strategies, because analysts need to take care about the vision and mission of the project. And analyst, most of the time, is also driving change, and of course facilitating stakeholders collaboration. So it's a person who plays a role of a middleman between the business and IT. So what can happen without the proper analysis? And so, like I told you, the analysis can be performed by various people, not only those who have a title of a business analyst. It can be, for example, like that. You have some requirements. You want to have a really nice red sweater that is very warm. Okay, you can imagine how you look in this sweater, or the sweater can be a really fitted application that suits all your needs. And then you have time when somebody is preparing the sweater for you, or for example, you order it somewhere on the AliExpress, for example. No offense. And then at the end, you didn't make a good analysis about the size or something, and then you have the sweater, but it doesn't fit. So to avoid that kind of the situation, we need to think how to put the analyst in the Scrum team. And I would like to tell you a little bit more what the practitioners says about this. There was a survey made at the beginning of 2018 by Hanna Wesołowska. Is a Polish blogger who writing about the business analysis. And the survey took part more than 400 BAs, mostly BAs, but people who perform business analysis in their teams. And when it comes to numbers, 90% of the people said that in their daily job they are working as a product owner. So those persons were responsible for the value of the solution delivered to the stakeholders, and they were responsible for optimizing value teams. It sounds like everyday job for a product owner, but it can be also a daily job for the developer that receiving some requirements. If he or she is lucky, she or he also have some good user stories that describe all the statuses and all the features and reasoning why it should be implemented in that or another shape. And to be a good in this position, you need to take into consideration very different approaches. You need to talk with very different people, and it can be difficult to cooperate with them in a daily basis. And
product owner in a clear Scrum should be placed very close to the development team. But to perform analysis, it's also needed to travel a lot. For example, if your businesses are located in various places. For example, I took a part in a project where I cooperated with 3 businesses, very different businesses, but they wanted to use the same tool. And it was difficult because some of them were sitting in Poland, some of them in United States, some of them in Korea and India. So it was complicated to match all the things together. And if you are working as a product owner, you need to be in the same time very close with the business and very close to your team to answer all the questions that can appear during the development phases. And second thing was working as a product owner assistant. 8% of the participants of the survey answered that they are working in this position. It's very crucial in this place to say that you need to be always on the same page with your team, because if you fail or if you didn't understand something, it's very difficult to implement good solution, and you can finish with this not matching sweater at the end of the process. And analysts, as a member of the Scrum team, 32% of the responses was that analysts were working in this position. So they were involved in the daily job. Mostly they were making some analysis, very small. It means that they needed to be performed during the 2 or 4 weeks sprints, but they made also a different kind of task. For example, preparing some user stories or conducting the user acceptance test or everything connected with that. Sometimes those people also act as not a product owner, but a project manager. They needed to calculate the budget, because the worst scenario that I took apart was that business had a direct access to the developer, and from my point of view, it's very tricky, because there is some official way how the project needs to be done. You have some budget, you have some development plan, and then business is coming. Oh, my favorite developer, could you please help me with this, and that? It's a really small change that I wanted you to implement, but I really need to do that. Can you help me? And it's okay, but this person need to be mature enough to talk with, for example, product owner, with the other team members, if it's really necessary to do it now, if it's not changing the development plan, or if it's extend the budget. Budget is always an issue in the projects. And the last thing that is working, BA that is working in a Scrum team, but outside the Scrum team, I mean. And 37% of people answered that they are making some analysis, some pre-studies, or, for example, if some issue appears, they come into and try to do something. But from my point of view, it's useless. I was working in the project where I fired myself because I was needed only for making a business case. And for me, okay, I can prepare that kind of things. I can investigate the real needs. But it was a waste of money, because I know that some of the projects don't need BA, they need skilled people, technical people that can provide the information about the technology need to be used in the project. So it's my story about this. And when it comes to other job titles that people who perform business analysis include: business architect, business system analyst, data analyst, enterprise architect, management consultant, process analyst, product manager or product owner, requirements engineer or system analyst. And I'm working as a BA since 2 years. And I was working as a business analyst, data analyst, management consultant, and process analyst, and a system analyst. So it really depends on the context where I needed to put myself into the project. And I heard that BA should be like an octopus. And it's Octocat, my own Octocat I created last week because I find a great feature for this. But it no matter. So the business analyst should be an octopus that puts every finger in a different place. So analysts should be aware about the latest trends in the technology, should know the best practices from the Scrum, from the project management, from the business analysis itself. Need to have ability to cooperate with various people, no matter if they are very strict, shy, and they are concentrated, for example, only on the technology, and anything else is not in their interest. But also need to take care and cooperate with people who talk a lot, but without sense. It may happen that you will cooperate with the stakeholders that talking a lot provides you with very big amount of the information, but at the end of the day, it appears that those information are useless for you. Okay, and for each stakeholder, the requirements can have different meaning. In this case, we have 1,000 people together, and the task is that those people need to start to sing their favorite song. And when it comes to resolution for that, the outcome is that this 1,000 people is singing very different song with very different ways. Some of them are singing loud, some of them not so really. So we have a really big mess. But when it comes to IT world, it can happen that we get requirement that states that stakeholder wanted to have easier way to generate report, but if we don't clear this information, we can implement, for example, two kinds of the solution. The first of them is that it means for stakeholder that I would like to generate report in 3 steps instead of 7, but it can also mean that I would like to have access to application that generates me reports instead of desktop one, to have it on my mobile. So, it really depends how you talk with the business and if you are going directly inside the needs. For example, currently I'm involved in a project where I need to cooperate with 11 businesses. because we need to rewrite to new technology 400 applications. It's a tricky because it's not the requirement that comes from the business, but it's a requirement that came from IT, and it's dedicated to the business side. So we need to do that because the provider of the currently used solution skip supporting this technology. So we need to do that because in 2 years we will stay with nothing. And in this case, it's also tricky because business have some application that works for him, and he don't want to change anything. I mean, not the technology, but the features, anything. And the budget is very strict because currently the business is not paying for the solution that he's using. But in the future, with our solution that we propose them, unfortunately, he will need to, because it's a new technology and it needs to be done that way. So it's also very tricky to translate to the business that is something that they need to do. And it happened that the business is saying, okay, write me this application. It doesn't care. I don't care what is inside, what the technology. I need to do my task like I did before. And some of the business are saying that, okay, I have a chance to have new features. I can skip some of them, but I would like to add many more new ones. And I'm on the position where I need to say to the business that, my dear business, I'm really sorry, but I can provide you only with the solution which is one-to-one matching to your current one. Or for example, it also happened that the new technology doesn't cover the functionalities that were provided by the old one. I was surprised that it was that kind of situation, but it was. And it's also difficult to convince business that they need to do something differently. For example, instead of 3 steps that they did before, now they need to do it in 7 steps. So it's really depends on the situation. And most of the work of analysts looks like that. He need to provide a suitable context to all the information that provides. And I'm very sorry for the bad resolution of this image, but I couldn't find the better one. But when I saw it on the Twitter a few days ago about making trashy codes more reasonable for the business, I was thinking, it looks not like a programming and putting some background to the code, but it looks like a business analyst job. Because also business analysts need to convince people that he's not a useless part of the process. And when it comes to the Chinese whisper effect that I mentioned before, I believe that all of you, or most all of you, played in this game when I was a kid. Who knows this game? Okay, perfect. So for those who don't know this game, is that people or kids, it can be people in general, sit on the circle or in a row, and the first person invents some password and spreading to the next person, and this person is spreading it to the next one, and the last person reach this password, and normally it appears that is something completely different that it was in the beginning. I was wondering if I should put here different graphics, but I believe it's a good one to show you how it looks like in this game. But it also happened in the IT world with the requirements that we get from the business. So the communication between various people can be tricky. And when it comes to communication models that including a business analyst, it's a really simple one. Because we have some customer, user, stakeholder, whatever we call him. We have analyst and we have a developer. And then it's more tricky because we can have a few customers, one analyst, and few developers. And how we can interpret this situation? We can say that, oh, it's nice. We have an analyst. This person can be our single point of contact for the solution that we wanted to create. But some of it can be a useful position. But some of the people can say also that this person in the middle create a bottleneck. So why I need to cooperate with some analyst, product owner, or whoever if I can go directly to the developer, and I will show you why. So imagine the situation that customer one. I have customer one. Yes, I have customer one that want to implement some A solution. Second customer wants to have A and B, and customer 3 wants to have only B instead of any other. So it appears that yes, we are rid of bottleneck in the communication, but in the same time we create this Chinese whisper because from where we know which feature, which requirements is more important. We need to have a person that describes all the requirements in the way that is suitable for all the people. It happened that this communication is really how to say, really tough because of the different ways of working of the people. But still, I really believe that having the person that concentrate all the requirements is really good. It's always also better for developers to have the person that they can say that something is possible or not possible to implement, and why not. So they are not putting them on fire from the business, but they are having a person that is also fighting for them. BA is also responsible for catching really funny things that can have influence on the project or on the project, yes, or feature. And I hope that you had time to look at it. And now the question for you: where did the 8 slides go? Can you see it? On the table you have 8 slides of the cake, but it's only 7 plates, and only 7 pieces appears on the plates. Maybe it can be out of scope, but there need to be a person that need to investigate if it's really out of scope or not, or somebody forgot about implement some feature. It also happens. Okay. And what good analyst should? It's a theory that analysts should discover and reveal the context, learn about code, establish contact, create messages that fulfill all the tasks, be able to verify that the correct interpretation took place. For example, for those features that need to be decommissioned or they are out of the scope. And BA should embrace multi-threaded communication to be able to talk with people. And when it comes to reality, BA should be curious and open. It means that, for example, like we today, should take a part in the conferences, meetups, to stick with his or her own truth, but need to know more details about the technologies of the future. He needs to combine his or her knowledge with the current state of mind of other specialists in the area. And conferences and meetups are very good places to share the knowledge, as sharing is caring is really good to do that. And BA should be like a water. He needs to fit or try to fit all the needs that came from business, but also that came from the developers that are providing some solutions. Without this, even if you are trying to be the best analyst ever, you will not do that if you will not be open and without having knowing the different state of knowledge. And the question at the end of the presentation is that if the developer is unable to do it alone, and the answer is yes. In most cases, of course, developer is able to do analysis because it's it can be a part of the job, but it really depends on the person because, like I said at the beginning, there are people that are eager to perform some additional task. They are willing to talk with people. They are very open-minded. They feel good within the communication, but there are people that want to stick only with their task. I mean, they are really good in some language, for example, and they want to stick only with the coding. And do analysts make mistake? Of course, they do a lot, but the thing is that we need to work together. And from my perspective, there is a place for good BA, no matter how we called him or her. If it's business analyst, product owner, data scientist, whoever. We need to find a place for the person that finding a common sense within the project. And I believe it can be like that because we are a bunch of the people that have the same aim to provide some useful, fancy feature to the business. And if we would do it alone, maybe we will provide a great solution. But there is a really, really long way to do that alone. So we need to work together on that. Thank you.